Hi, this is Paul Slatkus. It's Good News Planet. I'm speaking to Dr. Travis Stork. Hi, Doctor. How are you?
Doing quite well. How are you, Paul?
Okay, good. You're author and the host of medical talk show The Doctors, which I guess I'm going to go watch at 9 o'clock this morning because I like that show.
Well, thank you very much.
We learn a lot on a show like that. I think it's very important that television has recognized the importance of the medical concerns of people. Health is the wealth.
Well, and you know, we've learned that the power of TV when it comes to your health can be pretty profound. So it's one of those shows that I couldn't be more proud of.
And you do it in an interesting and an entertaining way. I think, you know, you give the pill in a different approach, in a informative approach, but in a realistic approach, and you have a lot of different sides to each time you talk about something. So congratulations there.
Thank you.
We're going to talk today about whole grains. Okay, what is a whole grain?
Well, you know, a whole grain is quite simply a grain in its original form. And a grain, I don't want to get too scientific, but it's made up of a bran, which is the outer core, germ, which is all the nutrition, and the endosperm, which is basically the energy. And unfortunately, when you remove the bran and the germ, which is most of the fiber and nutrition, you get what's called a refined grain. And that is what most of us eat. Whole grains are with everything intact. Whole grains have been shown to reduce your risk for heart disease, even certain cancers. Being overweight, that can be reduced with whole grains. And unfortunately, 95% of us in this country aren't getting enough whole grains.
Okay. Well, first of all, why do you think, one, it does help in you know, lowering your cholesterol and heart disease and these kinds of diabetes? What is it about the whole grain that we feel is helpful?
Well, the fiber in whole grains is what's wonderful as far as your digestive tract, right, potentially helping with cholesterol. And the biggest thing is when you remove the nutritious elements of a grain and you eat just to say a piece of white bread that isn't whole grain, well, unfortunately, the nutritious aspect, the antioxidants, they're gone. And so you're essentially eating something that acts just like sugar in the body. So it's the difference between eating something that's nutritious, that is absorbed more slowly in your system so you don't get massive blood sugar spikes, versus eating something that acts in the body more like, quite frankly, candy when I refer to things like white bread. And that's one of the reasons I partnered with General Mills to talk about the importance of whole grains, because they've made a commitment to whole grains in their cereals. And I think the more companies that do that and the more consumers demand whole grains in their products, I think 5, 10 years from now, my hope as a doctor is that it's going to be opposite of right now, where 5% or fewer people actually get the whole grains they need. Hopefully 5 years from now, we can say it's only 5% that don't get what they need.
Does it help, you think, in I mean, we have a lot of esophagus, right, 28 feet or so. I mean, we're trying to get intestines and to get food through us, get the energy, get the strength, get the power of food, but also to be able to eliminate. Do you think whole grains helps in that way?
Well, absolutely. Now, your esophagus, just to clarify that, your esophagus is fairly short because that's where the food travels from your mouth into your stomach. But you're right. When it comes to your intestines, you know, you lay your intestines out and you'd be shocked at how long they truly are. And if you don't get enough fiber in your diet, and fiber, one of the great sources of that, could and should be whole grains, unfortunately, your intestines don't operate the way they're supposed to. And one of the things I see a lot in the emergency department are people with such severe constipation, quite frankly, that results because they're just not getting whole grains in their diet. They're not getting fruits and vegetables. They're not getting the fiber they need to keep things running smoothly.
Right. Doesn't toxins build up because it's so long? Somewhere I heard 28 feet. I don't know. Maybe I'm out of my mind.
Well, it's sometimes it can be longer, and you would just be shocked at how it all packs in there.
So to get the food through there, the whole grains, I was told, helps to do that, gets it through.
It's the fiber in the whole grains that's really keeping things working properly.
So now with, say, General Mills and, say, with cereal and foods like that, how do they put that into the cereal, and then we should be putting it into our stomachs?
Well, that's the crazy thing about it. You mentioned cereals, and what it's not about what you're putting in versus what you're taking out. When you refine a grain, you're taking out the good stuff. So really the plea, and again with General Mills, the commitment to whole grains is saying, look, we're going to leave the whole grain as is when we put it in the cereals, just like when you eat a piece of whole wheat bread, the whole wheat grain is in there, versus if you just eat a piece of wheat bread and the first ingredient says wheat flour, well, that's refined wheat flour. It's going to act more like sugar in your body. You've got to look at the label, read the ingredients, and make sure that first ingredient is whole grains, whole wheat. And then you know you're getting the benefits of the whole grain in that meal.
So when you look at nutrition facts, which we've here in America agreed to have on most packaging, right? You have dietary fiber, you have soluble fiber. So how do you read, how does somebody know how beneficial a food product is for them?
Well, unfortunately, we all have to educate ourselves because it is more than just glancing at the label. But I'd say that there are a few things people can do. Number one, I personally have a rule, and that is if the first ingredient is sugar or a sugar equivalent, high fructose corn syrup, I don't buy that product, because you know the number one thing in there is just pure sugar. But if you're reading the ingredients list and the first product listed, like I said, is a whole grain, and then as you're looking down the list of how much sodium's in there, I always say that you really shouldn't have more than 1,500 milligrams of sodium a day. So look at how much sodium's in that serving, and if it's 500, 600, 700 milligrams of sodium, you have to just pay attention so that you don't go over your daily limit. And that's the way it is really with everything on a package, is just sort of keeping track throughout your day. You don't have to write everything down, but okay, there's 3 grams of fiber in this. Great, because I need to get 25 grams of fiber throughout the day. And just having a general sense of, have I had enough fiber today, and have I met my criteria as far as not having too much sodium. And the recommended daily amount of fiber, of whole grains, is 48 grams. And I think as long as people realize that if they're, say, eating a whole grain cereal for breakfast, whole wheat bread with their sandwich at lunch, and at night, maybe a side of brown rice, that's it. You've met your recommended daily amount.
Okay. I see there's a website also here, wholegainnation.com.
wholegainnation.com, and as I always say, people can also go to thedoctorstv.com, where we have a lot of information as well on this topic.
2 quick more questions. Why did you become a doctor?
You know, it may seem like a silly answer, but I became a doctor, number one, because I'm a science nerd and I love the science, but certainly number 2 is the fulfillment you get from helping someone in a crisis it's unlike any other feeling you can have in the world, and it's a privilege and an honor to take care of patients.
You could be a model, Travis. There's no doubt about that.
I'll just smile and laugh at that one.
Number 2, what's good news for you?
What's good news?
Yes.
Hey, you made it to another birthday.
Fantastic. That's all we can say. Travis, hey, it's a pleasure speaking with you. Congratulations once again on all your great success.
Thanks for having me.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.